Hey guys, it's Max. Welcome to an unboxing of my very first pre-built computer. I have built like 30 or so computers. This is the first pre-built that I've gotten. So this was actually sent out by MSI. If you keep track of some other filmmakers, YouTubers, you guys may have seen a system very similar to this already on a few other channels, maybe Philip Bloom or Tom Antos, or maybe somebody else. I know those two guys have made videos on a system like this. But MSI reached out to me and wanted to send over an Intel i9 build, and were wondering if I was interested. So first I kind of wasn't sure, it being a pre-built. I like to build my own PCs, but I haven't worked on an i9, and of course who would want to turn down a system like this? So I agreed to it, and I said I'd check it out, run some benchmarks, do some tests like the regular stuff that you guys watch and enjoy on my channel, and see how it does. And since the iMac Pro just came out, I think it'd be very fitting to compare it to the iMac Pro as well. So I think that's going to be very cool. So I did talk to them and kind of worked with them to do a setup, kind of, you know, something that I would recommend to my audience. So as far as the parts, you really want the parts to work well together as far as the RAM, the CPU, the graphics card. If you buy a really high-end CPU, or if you buy a really high-end CPU and you don't have enough RAM, obviously you're going to be bottlenecked that way. Or if you buy a CPU and then a very high-end graphics card, you're not really going to get much benefit out of it. All right, this thing is a beast. That's how I should have shipped some PCs when I was building them for people. All right, I have no idea what's in this box. Looks like maybe boxes for some of the parts. So I guess we'll open this up. So a couple things MSI wanted me to mention. Just overall, this PC is kind of designed for 4K video editing. I think it's could do more than 4K video editing. With this amount of performance, you should be able to do like 6K RAW, maybe even 8K RAW. I don't think they overclocked out of the box, but I am going to have a video where I test out this computer, see how it compares to the iMac Pro. And in that video, I will be overclocking it and maybe adding in a couple other things. So let's go ahead and cover a few things that are here. This box feels heavy. Maybe this will be more of an unboxing than I thought it would be. Is this not completely pre-built? So, okay, we have GTX 1080. Obviously, if you're going to do 4K video editing, you need a graphics card that's going to have enough video memory and enough performance to render all the effects. So the graphics card typically for video editing, once you add like color grading, LUTs, titles, stuff like that to your timeline, that's what it renders out. If you're just working with the footage without anything else, the graphics card doesn't do much at all. So we might have to actually install that. Motherboard. So this thing's empty. So obviously MSI sent this over, and they wanted to mention their X299 SLI Plus motherboard. So it has really high-end power phases, so those are something that can wear out over time on your motherboard. If you've ever had an older computer that you've had for a few years, and after a while it starts making this weird kind of electronics noise, a lot of times that's your motherboard and the capacitors and stuff like that. So with the X299 Plus, it's a higher end motherboard. Obviously you get a lot higher end components, and that's what's in the system here. And then I'll set that aside. And this is heavy too. MSI, is this not a pre-built? What is going on? Okay, so this is a cover for the power supply to hide it. So yeah, I guess it is. They just have extra parts in here. RAM is in here. So I think I was tricked. I think I was expecting a pre-build that was all done so I could just work on it. But I guess I'm going to be doing a little building myself. So RAM, here we have 32 gigs of RAM. That is my recommendation for a video editing PC. If you're doing 4K video editing, you can get 64, but a majority of the time, if you're just doing video editing, you don't need that much RAM. So in my tests, I didn't really notice a speed difference between 32 and 64 with regular to medium-sized 4K projects with LUTs and color grades and stuff like that. So if you have the extra money, go ahead and get 64, but you really don't need it unless you're doing something like After Effects or things like that where it runs the RAM a lot more. So we have 32 gigs of RAM. Cooler Master power supply, 750 watt. 80 plus gold, so it's going to be efficient, and usually it's more efficient like the gold power supplies or like the platinums. The fan stays off a vast majority of the time unless it's under full load, and that's nice just because it runs your, it just runs quieter overall. Hard drive, 8 terabyte hard drive. At the heart of it is the Intel i9, so it's my first time testing an i9. And it's the 10-core model, so 7900K, I believe. I like that they put it in a bag. Makes it a lot easier. H500P case, says right on the box. Those are some big fans on the front. All right. The case does look gamerish, if you're fine with that. We have a radiator, 240 millimeter radiator. Cooler Master, CPU water cooler, all in one system. Front panel comes off easily, as you guys see. Oh, actually, it has looks like it has magnets up here. Let's try that out again. That would be really nice. Yeah, I like that. Look at those fans. The benefit of having larger fans is that you can run them at lower speeds, and it still will move a good amount of airflow. Check this out. So it actually uses, I don't know why I was spinning it so much, it didn't seem like it was opening, but it literally is like a quarter turn little lock that holds it in place. That's cool. Okay, get all this out of here. So we have Intel 600p SSD that is already installed below here. So if you guys didn't hear that, Intel 600p SSD, 250 gig. So in any build, you want to have a SSD as your main drive, just because that speeds everything up by a lot. Now, if you're doing video editing, I would suggest editing off of an SSD, so you can add in like a 1 terabyte SSD internally, or using an external SSD, which is what I use. Unless you have like a RAID setup that's external, or a server, that's another great option. And then you need to archive your footage from your fast media or fast storage, whatever that is, and going to like a regular hard drive. So this is the 8 terabyte Barracuda here. Here's the water cooling kit, Cooler Master, 240 millimeter. And let's go ahead and add in our graphics card. So I got everything out of the way. Let's go ahead and install the graphics card and the RAM. MSI actually sent out 64 gigabytes of RAM, even though I told them 32 gigs is enough. Send me 32 gigs. But I guess it is what it is. We'll install 64 gigs. We have one here, and out of 2 screws, there's one here. Okay, and connecting our power connectors. And now let's install our RAM. So you want to push up on all of these tabs here, and they only have these locks on the top side. The bottom ones are just flat. I'm gonna check, make sure it lines up properly. All right, let's power her up. This is how you know it's not from the States. We have a European plug. I think it's a European plug. I just know it's not from here, with an adapter. All right, so the moment of truth, flick the power supply switch. This is a time where you always get a little bit nervous when you're building your own custom PC. And we have power. It's really quiet. The front fans aren't spinning. Oh, there you go. Yeah, these things are silent. That's nice. Alright guys, so that was it, the unboxing of my first ever pre-built PC, or mostly pre-built PC. I guess I gotta show you guys how to install a graphics card and RAM, just in case you guys didn't know how to do that. So I'm gonna be taking some time to test this guy out, see how it performs, check out the thermals, see what I can overclock it to, install another card into a PCI slot, and I'll talk about what that is in my full video on this computer. So if you guys don't want to miss out on that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and enable those notifications as well, so you guys don't miss out when that thing pops up. And I will be comparing it to the iMac Pro, and we're gonna see, is it worth spending, you know, $2,500–3,000 on a PC like this, or $5,000 on an iMac, and we'll see how the performance differs between the two machines. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Max, and I will see you in the next video.